The note was still clenched in her hand when her knees gave out. Kendra had been holding it together all day, table after table, fake smile after fake smile, but now, standing behind the staff door near the walk-in freezer, she let go. Tears came fast, hot and silent. It hadn't been the money. Sure, the $100 tip was generous, but it was what was scribbled in blue ink on the napkin beneath the receipt that cracked something open inside her. You matter more than you know. Keep going. Snoop. She hadn't even realized it was him at first. He'd come in with a hoodie pulled low and sunglasses that practically swallowed his face. Quiet, polite, ordered the catfish and collard greens like he'd done it 1,000 times before. She'd joked with him about how cold it was for a Los Angeles day. He'd laughed, nodded, said something about missing Long Beach heat. Only when he pulled back his hood did her breath catch, but even then she hadn't expected this. Kendra thought about the eviction notice in her purse, the final notice on her electric bill, and her son's worn-out sneakers she couldn't afford to replace. And yet, in that single sentence, she felt seen. Really seen. A sharp knock at the freezer door jolted her. "Kendra, you okay?" It was Jordan from the kitchen. She wiped her eyes fast. "Yeah, I'm good." But she wasn't. She was changed. And if this moment hit you too, drop a comment and subscribe. You never know who needs to hear your story. The early morning light filtered through the dusty blinds of Kendra's apartment as she sat at the kitchen table, still in her waitress uniform from the night before. Her phone buzzed silently, another text from her landlord. She didn't open it. Instead, she stared at the napkin. She'd smoothed it out and pinned it to the fridge with a chipped magnet shaped like a peach. The ink had bled a little where her tears had hit the paper, but the words were still there. You matter more than you know. Keep going. What did Snoop even see in her? Just another tired server in a city full of them. Was it the way she had refilled his iced tea without asking? Or maybe how she had smiled when his order came out wrong but didn't complain? She shook her head. It didn't matter. What mattered was how it made her feel. Jameer shuffled into the kitchen, rubbing his eyes. Her 8-year-old son with his wild curls and Spider-Man pajamas looked up at her. You didn't sleep? Kendra smiled weakly. Mama had a long night. He opened the fridge and pulled out the milk, then paused, reading the napkin. Did you write that? No, baby, someone else did. He nodded like he understood. Sounds like a superhero thing. Maybe it was. She stood and kissed the top of his head, trying to ignore the overdue notices on the counter, one shift at a time. That's how she'd survive. By the time Kendra reached the diner that afternoon, the place was buzzing, and not just from the lunch rush. Yo, Kendra! Marcus, the line cook, waved her over, grinning like a fool. You're famous, she blinked. What are you talking about? He pointed toward the break room. Check your phone. Kendra hesitated, wiped her hands on her apron, and pulled out her cracked iPhone. Her notifications were blowing up. Mentions, shares, messages from people she hadn't spoken to in years. She clicked one. A video, shaky and grainy, showed her handing Snoop Dogg his check, smiling, unaware someone had recorded from across the diner. Then the angle changed. Someone must have filmed the napkin before she'd taken it. The caption read, Snoop Dogg leaves heartfelt message for hardworking waitress. Realest thing you'll see today. Hundreds of thousands of views, comments pouring in. She scrolled past strangers calling her an inspiration, people saying they cried watching it, others tagging friends. This is why we tip well. Look at her eyes when she reads it. Pure soul. She leaned against the wall, overwhelmed. Her hands trembled. Girl, you're viral, said Nikki, her shift manager, with a mix of disbelief and pride. You better not quit on me. Kendra laughed softly, tears threatening again. Not unless I'm fired. You'd have to throw a plate at someone first. She pocketed her phone, heart pounding. The world had seen her, but would they still care tomorrow? By sundown, Kendra's voicemail was full. There were news producers, podcast hosts, and even a local morning show asking for interviews. Her Instagram inbox had exploded. Some messages encouraging, some weird, others downright inappropriate. But one name stopped her cold. Tasha McGill. They hadn't spoken in almost 4 years. Not since Kendra's baby shower, when Tasha had shown up high and left with $80 from her purse. Her finger hovered. Ignore? Respond? Curiosity won. The message was short. I saw you. I'm proud of you. I'm clean now. Been clean 7 months. I hope you're doing okay. Kendra sat on her bed staring at the screen. She wanted to feel happy, but mostly she felt tired. How was this happening? 1 minute she was serving tables, the next, some kind of public symbol for perseverance. She looked over at Jamir, asleep on the couch, TV still glowing. His chest rose and fell steadily beneath his blanket. Everything she did was for him. She opened the news article again, the one that now had nearly 1 million shares. Her face looked so vulnerable in the still frame, her eyes red and glistening. The caption beneath said, "One note, one life, infinite impact." She shook her head. "God, please don't let this be temporary," she whispered. Another ding. A new message. This one was different. A verified account, a name she recognized instantly. "Hi, Kendra. This is Dee from Snoop's team. He'd like to speak with you." Her breath caught. Kendra stared at the message. "Hi, Kendra. This is Dee from Snoop's team. He'd like to speak with you." She read it again just to make sure it was real. Her heart raced. She typed back, hands trembling. "Hi, Dee. Yes, of course. When?" Seconds later, a reply. "Can you talk in 15?" She jumped to her feet. 15 minutes? She darted to the bathroom, splashing water on her face. Her hair was a mess. Her shirt had syrup stains from breakfast, but none of that would matter, right? At exactly 2:03 p.m., her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered, barely breathing. "Hello?" A familiar, mellow voice responded. "Yo, is this Kendra?" She froze. Yes, it is. This is Snoop. I just wanted to say, I saw you, and I felt something real. You reminded me of my mom for real." Kendra clutched her chest, overwhelmed. "People work so hard and nobody sees them," he continued. "But you, I saw how you held your head up, even when life's hitting you. That's strength." Tears welled again. "I didn't expect all this to go viral," she whispered. "I was just doing my job. That's exactly why it mattered." There was a pause. Then Snoop added, "Listen, I'm working on something, a project. I want you to be part of it." "Me?" "Yeah, you." The call ended with a promise to follow up. Kendra sat still, phone in hand, heart pounding. Life had just cracked open. Kendra stood in the alley behind the diner, apron still on, phone pressed tight against her ear as Dee outlined the plan. "It's called the Lift Up Initiative," Dee explained. "Snoop wants to spotlight everyday people who inspire others, not celebrities, not influencers, real folks. He wants to start with you." Kendra leaned against the brick wall, stunned. "What would I even do?" "You'd be in the first video. We'd film a short piece about your story, what you've been through, how you keep going." "He'll be in it too." She looked up at the sky as if the answers were written in the clouds. "And what happens after that?" "There's talk of a grant fund," Dee said. "Snoop wants to help you pay off some bills, get ahead. But he's also hoping your story helps others get up when they feel knocked down." Kendra bit her lip, emotions bubbling. For years she'd felt invisible, just another woman scraping by, serving food with a tired smile. Now someone wanted to hear her speak. "I don't know what to say," she admitted softly. Dee chuckled. "That's the point. Just say what's real." Later that night, after her shift, Kendra sat at the foot of Jamir's bed, watching him sleep. She thought about how she nearly didn't come in that day, how one act of kindness turned into an avalanche of possibility. Maybe this was her moment. Maybe this was the beginning. She whispered, "I think I'm ready." The camera crew arrived at 9 a.m. sharp. Kendra opened the door to her tiny apartment, heart thumping beneath her old hoodie. She hadn't slept much, nerves buzzing beneath every thought. Still, she greeted them with a warm smile. They set up quickly, lights, microphones, and cables curling through her modest living room like vines. One of the producers, Lila, gave her a rundown. Nothing scripted, just be yourself. Kendra nodded, clutching the napkin in her pocket like a lifeline. Then Snoop arrived. This time, no hoodie. He stepped in with a quiet presence, dressed down but somehow still shining. When he hugged her, it felt like a full-circle moment. She wasn't serving him this time. They were equals, both telling the same story from different angles. They sat on the couch, the cameras rolling. Lila asked simple questions. Tell us about that day. Tell us about Jamir. Tell us what hope means to you. At first, Kendra's voice shook, but then she found her rhythm. She spoke about growing up with nothing, about being a teen mom, about scraping coins together to buy diapers and ramen. She spoke about praying on break time and still smiling at rude customers. She pulled out the napkin. This made me feel human again. Snoop looked at her, eyes soft. You always were. The world just needed to catch up. The cameras stopped, but no one moved. Something bigger than fame was happening. This wasn't a spotlight, it was a resurrection. The video dropped 2 days later, titled simply, You Matter, Kendra's Story. It opened with a shot of her wiping down a table, apron tied tight, then cut to her telling her story beside Snoop on the couch. The edit was clean, powerful. Moments of her laughing with Jamir, crying softly, holding that napkin like scripture. Within hours, the internet lit up. By the next morning, the views passed 1 million, then 5. People from all over the country flooded the comments. I see my mom in her. She just gave me the strength to get out of bed. She's not just surviving, she's shining. Kendra watched in awe, hand over her mouth. At first, she felt overwhelmed, exposed even. But the love pouring in was different. It wasn't just admiration, it was connection. People saw themselves in her. Then came the emails. A school in Atlanta invited her to speak at a youth leadership event. A nonprofit in Detroit wanted to feature her in a campaign about dignity and work. And then, a message from a familiar name, her former manager from a job she'd lost 3 years ago. I saw the video. I'm sorry I didn't treat you better back then. You deserved more. Kendra sat in stunned silence. The note didn't erase the past, but it was something, a shift. That night, Jamir crawled into her lap with his tablet. Look, Mama, you're trending. She laughed through tears. Maybe for the first time in her life, she wasn't invisible anymore. The diner looked different now. Same cracked linoleum floors, same squeaky booths. But since the video, people walked in not just to eat, but to see her. Kendra, right? A woman said, sliding into a seat by the window. I just had to come. You reminded me of myself 10 years ago. Kendra smiled, pouring her coffee. Then you already know. You're stronger than you think. Tips came bigger. Customers lingered longer. Even Nikki, her manager, gave her shorter shifts so she could attend speaking gigs and community panels. And through it all, Kendra stayed grounded. Every shift reminded her where she came from. One afternoon, a tall man in a tailored suit entered the diner. He didn't order. He asked for Kendra by name. I'm from Hope Pathways, he said. We work with single mothers looking for career support and mentorship. Would you ever consider being a community ambassador? Kendra blinked. Me? Mentor other women? You're already doing it just by being seen. That night, after Jamir fell asleep, she sat on the floor beside his bed and whispered into the dark, You hear that, baby? Mama's got a purpose now. Her phone buzzed. A new post from Snoop. Photo Kendra holding the napkin beside a mural of her own face. Caption, Real queens walk through fire and don't smell like smoke. Keep lifting her up. The likes didn't matter. The spotlight didn't matter. But the message, that mattered more than anything. The auditorium lights dimmed as Kendra stepped onto the stage. Rows of young women, teen moms, high school seniors, single workers, sat in silence waiting. Behind her, a simple screen read, You Matter. She took a deep breath. My name is Kendra, she began. And for a long time, I thought surviving was all I was born to do. She told them about her first job at 16, the nights she fed Jamir but skipped dinner, the eviction notices that arrived like clockwork, and the day Snoop left her a note that changed everything. But it wasn't the money, she said. It was the message. Someone saw me. And that gave me permission to see myself again. The crowd nodded. Some cried, some smiled wide. When she stepped down, dozens lined up to hug her. One girl whispered, "I want to be like you." Kendra smiled. "Then don't wait. You already are." Back home, she tucked Jameer in. Their apartment was still small, but the lights stayed on. The fridge was full. And for the first time, hope didn't feel like a fantasy. She pinned the napkin back on the fridge, now framed in glass. Above it, Jameer had taped a drawing, her wearing a cape, Supermom. She laughed softly. "You know what, baby? Maybe I am." And as she turned out the light, she whispered the same words that once saved her. "You matter more than you know. Keep going." And she did.